Hello there, Dr. Kara Can. In a few minutes, we're going to be starting our webinar, Acupuncture Points to Support Weight Loss, and how to use the LifeWave acupuncture patches specifically for that goal of supporting healthy weight. And I am starting a couple minutes early because last time we had a webinar, YouTube decided it was going to shut down for maintenance. And so we wanted to make sure I got on before everybody else did. So if you're just joining me, there is a chat box. If you're joining me live, there's a chat box to the right of your screen. It is a public chat. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and write your questions in there. Keep in mind, it is a public open chat, which means that anything you put on there will and can be read by other people. So don't put anything too personal on there. There's also a poll, I think, that we're going to be displaying as well. So I'm just going to put that poll up here. Let me see here. Oh, right. All right, we're going to start the poll. There we go. So when you first come in, you might see that poll. If you could answer that poll for us, that would be awesome. Great, great, great. And if you don't already know, you probably got on this from my other webinar, which was the how to reset your hormonal fat thermostat. That was last week. So if you have not seen that particular weight loss program, this is not for everyone, of course, the hormonal reset program, because it does cost money, but it is extremely effective to release 1/2 to 1 pound per day, not per week, per day, while you're on that program. So if you're interested, I'm just going to put the link as the sticky. I'll put last week's fat loss webinar. So reset your hormonal thermostat. The replay is free of charge, and you can go to my website, karencan.com/fat loss, and you can actually watch that completely free just to see if that program is something that you're interested in. Okay, make sure I spelled everything right. Yeah, it looks like it. So last week's fat loss webinar, in case you missed it, we had some technical glitches, so a lot of people were watching the replay. So if you're interested in how to reset your hormonal thermostat with the program that I've successfully used for myself and in the office, which is a combination of some really cool emotional, spiritual work, as well as a specific diet and supplement program, which is extremely effective for fat loss. So it's not for everyone because it's a very strict program, but it's 30 days of very strict, very strict rules, but you get some great results. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead to karencan.com/fat loss and you can watch that replay. All right, so there is a poll up. So if you're just joining us, feel free to answer the poll. We'll check into some of the poll answers later. And I'm actually going to go ahead and start the presentation, tonight's presentation. You should be seeing some slides in front of you in a few moments. So we're going to go over acupuncture points to support weight loss and specifically how to use the LifeWave patches in some of these very easy protocols that will help support your goals. Losing weight is not easy, but we're going to first go over why people are having such trouble losing weight, even if they're trying to diet and exercise. And then we're going to go into specifically the acupuncture points and the patches that I use and I recommend, and many of our LifeWave practitioners recommend to help people support their healthy weight loss goals. Now, this is not a quick fix scheme. In other words, you can't just use patches and eat candy, chocolate, and ice cream all day long and lose weight. I mean, that's rare. Has happened, but it's rare. The whole idea is to live a holistic lifestyle. I'm going to give you some really great secrets and hints here, as well as some of the protocols we've used very successfully with the LifeWave patches to help people support their weight loss goals. So we love your questions. Just keep in mind that because this is a webinar regarding the LifeWave patches, we cannot take any questions that pertain to any disease names. So you can certainly feel free to ask other patching questions besides weight loss for tonight. If we have time at the end, we'll definitely answer those for you. But please refrain from using any disease names because we'll just ignore those questions, unfortunately. So, better to say, someone with, back pain radiating down the right leg rather than use the words herniated disc or osteoarthritis or lupus. We don't want to talk about diseases, okay? We're not a drug. We can't talk about diseases, but we certainly can talk about symptoms. So you can actually write your questions in the chat, and if you're just joining us, just feel free to say hi in the chat and just let us know where you're from. We'd love to know where you're from. So just a little bit about me. I'm a holistic physician and acupuncturist, and I got into this field because of my own interest in Chinese medicine. I've always thought alternative medicine was really cool, and did some acupuncture in medical school and had some amazing results. So I thought, oh my gosh, I got to keep doing this. And then I got sick myself over 10 years ago. Gosh, it's been so long. Over 10 years ago with fibromyalgia chronic fatigue syndrome, and it was very, very difficult. I was partially disabled, loved to skate, and I skated as an adult, not as a child, so it was a huge passion for me, and it was so sad for me to, have so much trouble enjoying what I love to do. And then with a lot of spiritual help, emotional, nutritional help, and with some of the LifeWave patches really helped my symptoms, kind of got me up and, got my energy back, helped with my pain and my sleep. And I've been a huge fan of the patches since. I've written a book which became a #1 best seller on Amazon, Guide to Healing Chronic Pain, A Holistic Approach. It's a 416-page book on basically kind of a holistic look, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, of how you can approach healing chronic pain without drugs and surgery. If you do not have a copy of the book, you can get the first 6 chapters free on my website, KarenCan.com. So just put in your name and email address, and you will be able to download the first 6 chapters. And also I have another 5, I believe, free webinar classes, wellness classes that you can take at any time once you sign up for the mailing list. And if for whatever reason you don't like to be on the mailing list later on, you can always, opt out of it. So you're not obligated to stay on my mailing list, but we'd love to keep in contact with you, of course, tell you all the new cool stuff that we're doing. So what about weight loss? And hi, everyone. It's chatting in. Thank you so much. Love that you're here. Anna, Dunia, yoo-hoo. Glad you're on this call. So people have always heard that to lose weight, you have to eat less and exercise more because it's about calories in and calories out. And sorry, I spelled in wrong. I just forgot, I should say, to correct that from my last time I did this. So calories in and calories out. So why isn't this formula working? Well, so what do you think in our environment's making us fatter than ever? Well, we've got a lot of stuff going on in our environment that is really quite new in the last 20 or 30 years, and sometimes only in the last 9 or 10 years. So we've got some major changes such as toxins, and we're going to talk a little bit about those today. We have more stress in our environment, and I'm not just talking about mental stress, okay? And of course, we have lifestyle issues. So stress, let's talk a little bit about stress first, because that's going to pertain to why we choose the patches we do to help support healthy weight. So when we get stressed, what happens is we get these hormones released in our bodies that are appropriate if, of course, you're running away from a saber-toothed tiger or you're trying to avoid a deer on the road, things like that. There should be momentary, stress response. You respond, and then you go back to relaxation. That doesn't happen in our everyday lives. We end up stressed out all the time. And so we have these chronic overproduction of these hormones. Cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that is life-saving when you need it, but too much of it makes you belly fat. Yeah, it makes you have a big belly. And adrenaline, which how many people do you know that drink coffee or caffeinated beverages? I know a lot of them. So adrenaline we have going all the time, and that is also not very good for the body. And DHEA is the youth hormone. It's also, at least in part, made by the same gland in the body, the adrenal glands, that make cortisol. And eventually, if you keep tapping on those adrenal glands to produce all that hormone over and over and over again, you end up with a lowering of your DHEA or your youth hormone. So some people take it as a supplement. It's not always the safest thing to do. In fact, one of our patches, the Eon patch, actually helps to raise DHEA levels naturally without the side effects of the supplements. So that is a problem when we stress out, and we actually age faster. That's the bottom line. So we can't digest our nutrients when we're stressed out, and therefore we have other problems. We don't sleep very well. Sometimes we can have heart-related problems, brain-related problems. So there's a lot of issues with stress besides just getting fat around the middle and the hips. So I like this cartoon, which is from cartoonstock.com. It's the doctor who's smoking and drinking a cocktail and telling his overweight patient, "You can't keep living the way you're living." So in the 50s, we, as doctors, I wasn't there, luckily, we actually told people to take Valium and to smoke cigarettes to relax them. Yeah, so how times have changed. So, toxins that we have today. Now, if you're perfectly honest, you'll take a look at this picture and go, "Gee, what toxins have I actually, partaken in the past?" So there may be quite a few, and I have to say that when I was in working at UCLA as an assistant professor, I consistently drank coffee every afternoon. I'd get a massive migraine. I'd drink coffee and some Boost, which is sort of like Ensure, which is like liquid nutrition, which is completely gross. Anyway, and if I was home late, I'd go to KFC and get some fried chicken, maybe some Thai food, and I just ate on the run. I mean, I just did not have very good habits at all. So not cool, not cool. Okay, so there's definitely people in our polls here that have struggled with weight and have had difficulty losing weight. I'm going to actually check a couple other questions here. Let's see, let's do this one. Have you ever heard that your metabolism slows down when you decrease your calories? That's part of some of these problems that we have when we try to decrease our calories because it doesn't always work. Well, one of the toxins that we have that does definitely increase our weight is toxic food. We've got animals that are raised in these massive conventional farms. They are not allowed to roam or eat what they normally eat, which is grass or pasture. Some of them don't even see the light of day. They don't even see sunshine. And so they're walking around in their poop, very, very unhealthy, and they have to give them antibiotics. And these poor little pigs here on the upper left do not leave they don't get to roam. They don't get to leave their pens at all. It's really, really awful. If you don't know about this, I'm sorry for the shocking photos, but a great film to watch is Food Inc. Food Inc. is a great film to watch and really opened my eyes to the food industry and what we're actually putting in our bodies. Oh my gosh. Now here we have lots of prepackaged food that is really low in nutrients. So even if you're eating all organic, if you're eating a lot of processed packaged foods, you're not really getting the amount of nutrients you need. And what happens is your body gets nutrient starved and then wants to eat more. It's still hungry. So you end up packing on the pounds, partly because you're not eating enough nutrient dense foods, not because you're necessarily eating too much. You're eating too much maybe of the wrong things, but not the right things. So we want to avoid as much as possible processed packaged food. And of course, there's the whole genetically modified foods. The genetically modified foods have just been around for about 9 or 10 years, so not very long. And some of the animal studies coming out that's been over 2 years long show tumor growth and all sorts of really scary intestinal problems and animals dying from being fed GMO food. So unfortunately, here in the United States, they are not globally labeled, but you want to stay away from soy, corn, canola, sugar that's made with sugar beets. Those are the 4 biggies. There's also cottonseed oil, and now there's genetically modified salmon and alfalfa, but the top 4 are corn, soy, canola, and sugar beets. And of course, we love our sugar. That's one of the most addictive substances. You know, I've heard on a couple of webinars, which really shocked me, that if you have a set of mice that are addicted to cocaine, and then you give them the option later of either drinking sugar water or cocaine water, they will pick the sugar water over the cocaine. Is that amazing or what? Oh my gosh. Sugar is that addictive, and we're eating a heck of a lot of sugar. It was 4 pounds per year back in the 1800s, and now it's about 130 to 150 pounds per year. And where is it going? It's going in our processed food. So a lot of people don't see it. A lot of things fat-free, and therefore they load them with sugar or corn syrup or other derivatives of sugar. So we get a lot more sugar, and it's really hard on the body. So let's take a look at our poll here and just see what we got. So let's see how many people have heard that oh, maybe people have not, let's see, did we end our poll here? Yep, have you heard your metabolism slows down when you decrease your calories in? Okay. Oh, there we go. See if we can, no, I'm still not getting results. Okay, let's see, here we go. Let's do our next poll here. Have you ever used the LifeWave patches for appetite control yet? Okay, we'll start that poll. So here, this is what's going on with our lifestyle, which is contributing to our weight gain and inability to lose weight. We burn our systems out. We burn those stress glands out, those little adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys. They're very, very important. And we burn those out, and our whole hormonal system goes out of whack. Our nervous system goes out of whack because of the stressors. One of the stressors we didn't mention today, but I did show a picture earlier, I think, is cell phones, Wi-Fi, cell phones. Almost everybody I know has wireless internet in their house. And they sleep with that on. Sometimes they sleep with their cell phone next to them. Not a good idea. You want to put it on airplane mode, and you want to get a protection device for your cell phone. LifeWave makes a few different ones, a few models, like the iPhone 3, 4, 5s. Does not have one for iPhone 6 yet, but there's a bunch of other models that it makes it for. There's other ones that in our webinar on cell phones, I suggest some other ones if you don't have a model that LifeWave makes one for. So, it's a really big deal. It could really mess up your nervous system. And of course, all the different toxins we have that we're eating and putting on our skin, in our air, in our water, the fluoride, the chlorine, there's all sorts of issues. And what happens is your toxins have to be stored somewhere. Your body's pretty smart. It's not going to store it in your brain or your heart. So it's going to store it in fat, because fat's slow metabolism, right? So these toxins are not going to bother your everyday living as much as if they put it in your brain or store it in your gut. It doesn't mean they're not there, but less of it is there, more of it's in your abdominal fat. So if you have, toxins in your body and you can't get rid of them, your body has to store it. And so it'll make fat cells to store your toxins. And then all that problems with the food causes problems in your gut. Your gut then ends up with these little holes in them, and then you get all sorts of food allergies. And of course, there's the emotional piece too that can cause stress in your physiology, just having emotional stress and trapped emotions from the past. And you can even have trapped emotions that you've inherited. That's some of the work that I do, called the emotion code. We get rid of trapped emotions from people, and some of them times they don't even know they have them because it's inherited from one or other of their parents. So what's the holistic strategy for weight loss? So we definitely want to relieve stress, right? So stress is a big component, because stress tells the body to store fat. So if we're stressed, no matter how much we starve ourselves, and even over exercising causes fat storage. Like if you're doing Zumba, 7 times a week or 3 times a day, if you're one of the teachers, you'll tend to increase your weight and decrease your muscle mass just by doing too much exercise. For some people that their adrenals have already kind of pooped out, their chi or energy levels are low, we want to support their energy production, because if your energy production is really low, you're not going to be able to, again, to release the weight very well. It's like that weight loss, fat loss button is shut off. And last week when we did the fat loss webinar, we talked about how the diencephalon, or the part of the brain, the hypothalamus, is in charge of opening and shutting that gate for weight loss. And there's a special way we can actually open it back up if that diencephalon is really unhealthy, and we can reset your hormones. So you can go to that fat loss replay of last week's free webinar to learn more about that program. So if you do not sleep, that is when your growth hormone is released. Growth hormone helps with lean body mass. So if you're not sleeping well, you're not releasing growth hormone and those nice neurotransmitters that make you happy, and therefore a really hard time losing weight as well. I had one guy actually who was gaining weight, and I come to find out I sent him to a massage therapist to work on his neck, and she said that the guy, wasn't breathing on the massage table. She said, Sam stops breathing when I do work on him on the table. I think he's probably stopping breathing at night when he sleeps. I said, oh my gosh, no wonder he doesn't sleep well. So he was using the YH stress relief patch during the day. So I told him to use it on his head at night, and I told him to use it behind the right ear, which I will show you that point later. And I said, when did this start? He says, well, what happened was I was skiing and I didn't see there was literally a fence, and he clotheslined himself. Literally, I mean, this fence went right across his neck and he just flipped out onto the ground. And so that's why I put the patch behind his right ear, because I wanted to brain balance him while he was sleeping, and I figured he probably had a neck injury. Wouldn't you know it, the next 2 nights he slept like a baby. Now, normally we'd use silent ice patches, but because of the neck injury, I decided to do the Eon because it decreases inflammation. And, within 12 days, he lost 8 pounds because he was sleeping, finally. Oh my gosh, crazy, crazy. So you cannot release any weight very sufficiently or permanently if you do not have enough nutrition. So I think it's very important to eat a whole food diet as best you can and hydrate very well. Unless you're extremely obese, it should be about half an ounce per body weight, or about 2 liters per day if you're a metric person. And of course, some ways of supporting emotional well-being. Now, though this is not the webinar for that particular topic, I have found using the patches has really helped people with their emotional well-being, even if that was not the original reason why they used it. I have a great story of my mom who has had some, depression symptoms for many, many years, been on and off medications, and she actually was, I told her to use energy patches for hives. She was having this weird hive thing. So I told her to take probiotics and put the energy patches over her foot point, liver 3, which clears heat. And that's what I was trying to do, is get rid of her hive symptoms. And she kept doing this for a while. It took a while to get rid of the hives, but they did go away after 2-3 months. And at that point, she says, I want to stop my antidepressants. And I thought, no, you're not. Because at that point, she would rebound and get awful. So I said, look, do it with your doctor, do it slowly, and keep me posted, because the last 5 times you did this, it didn't work. So she did, and what do you know? She got off all her antidepressants, her mood stayed stable, and she said, I swear it's these energy patches. They really make me feel good. I'm not arguing with your dad as much. So she has been drug-free since then, and that's about 8 years ago. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, so here is our strategy using LifeWave patches. We're going to show you the acupuncture points we use with the patches specifically. This is not in any of the brochures. Well, I should say it's not in any of the brochures, but these combinations are not in the brochures. So you may want to, take some notes while you're at it. And so we're going to be addressing several of the strategies here. Relieving stress strategy, the strategy of controlling the appetite, of course, because a lot of times if you're undernourished, it's going to be a problem. People are actually, actually have issues with their energy, and that's why they have an appetite issue. Okay, so what about detoxification? Well, we talked about how important toxins are for putting the weight on. So it's really important to have some strategy to detoxify. And the glutathione, YH glutathione patches is one of the ways people can effectively and safely detoxify. All right, so here's our first protocol, and I'm just going to take a drink of water. Okay, so protocol number 1. Now we're doing what we call energy triangles. Dr. Dennis and I are very enamored with energy triangles, because it actually creates a very solid magnetic field when you have 3 patches in the configuration of a triangle. It makes your energy field very solid. And so we like these combinations, and these 2 protocols we're going to show you are going to be combinations for supporting healthy weight loss by balancing the stress system, by helping with the addiction, sorry, helping with the cravings, appetite control, and helping your energy centers. So the first point I want to tell you about is the Eon patch that we're using behind the right ear. Now, this is part of my brain balancing protocol. So if you don't have a copy of that free protocol, you can download, go to patchtrainingteam.com, and there's some videos there as well. So I'm going to put that in the chat, patchtrainingteam.com. So there you can actually go and get your free download for the brain balancing protocol. This is one of the reasons we use behind the ear, is because I find that this point's really good for people that are kind of tight and nervous and just irritable. So it's a good anti-stress point. And the second reason I use it here rather than some of the other points, like in the middle of your forehead, is because when you go to work, you don't want people asking you all the time, what's that patch in the middle of your forehead, right? So when it's behind your ear, it's a little bit more subtle, and unless you have like super short hair, and it's going to be seen, but generally it's kind of out of the way. So you just put it over the skin, just behind the ear. Now I've got tape on this, just so you can see the whiteness of the patch a little easier, but normally you would take the backings off, right, before you put it on the skin. So we're using the YH Eon patches. Those patches are in the dark blue package, and that I showed you earlier. And those are for stress and for inflammation. So it's really interesting because we notice with weight issues that there is chronic inflammation. And you could say maybe that's from toxic food, maybe that's from the gut being inflamed. There's lots of different reasons for it, but it's kind of interesting how the Eon patches helps with both stress and inflammation. Also helps to balance cortisol levels and DHEA levels. So if you're too low, it helps them get back up. If you're too high, it helps them calm back down. It's really neat that way. So I really love the Eon patch for almost everything, but when it comes to supporting weight loss, I think it's really important for reducing the stress. So that's point number 1 in the triangle. Now, the other 2 points in the triangle for this for protocol number 1 is the addiction point. So if you take a look at your wrist, and where the wrist bends, there's like a little wrist crease. Right here, the wrist crease. So if you actually put your patch, the edge right above the wrist crease, then the center of the patch will be over the addiction point. So if you're like shaking hands with someone, so the patches face, up when you're shaking hands with someone. Now the SP6 Complete patch, which is in the green package, okay, those are electronegative patches, meaning that relative to the Eon and the glutathione, it's actually more negatively charged, meaning that it should go on the left side of the body. Now you can also put any of the patches on the center line, but for these protocols, the SP6 Complete is going to go on the left side of the body, okay? Now on the right side of the body, glutathione is an electropositively charged patch. That's going to go on the right side of the body. Now, in other protocols, in the brochures, you'll see glutathione in the center line. You can put any patch in the center line, but for these protocols, I've got the SP6 on the left, and in this case, glutathione on the right, and then Eon is pretty much, center of your body. So, like I said, you could use it on your third eye or top of the head or some of the other brain balance points, but I'm just showing you this one because it's really easy to get it out of the way. So let me know if you have any questions. You can definitely put them in the chat. So the addiction point can be really helpful for other types of cravings as well besides sugar. I found with myself that it really helped with fat cravings, which was really interesting. The fat cravings I had was probably because I had lots of adrenal stress issues earlier. And I found with the SP6 Complete patches really, really helped me balance my blood sugars so that I did not have to eat every 2 hours, which is what I used to have to do. Like, you just ask anybody, especially my ex-husband. I always had food in my purse, always, because if I didn't eat every 2 to 3 hours, my blood sugar would drop. I'd be miserable. I'd have a headache. I'd be shaky sometimes, and I found that the energy patches really helped me, but the addition of the SP6 Complete patches was really what clinched it for me. Now, I can eat 3 times a day, and not feel like I have to eat 5 small meals a day. And people think that's healthy, but not necessarily. If you have to eat small meals a day, it means your adrenals are shot. You should be able to sustain your blood sugars, well. And I really like the SP6 Complete. I don't have to wear them every day, but I used to. And the glutathione patch, which is in the yellow package, the glutathione helps with detoxification. Glutathione is a molecule that your body makes on its own. It's a pretty big molecule, so it's pretty hard to take it by pill form. You can do IV, which is very expensive, about $1,000 a shot. You can do by cream, but again, it's a very big molecule. So how better is it for your body to make its own glutathione in the cells rather than try to take it from the outside? And it's a heck of a lot cheaper too. So glutathione actually latches on to toxins and takes them out of the body. You pee them out or poop them out. So glutathione is a very negatively charged molecule. It's an antioxidant that your body makes, and so it hangs on to toxins that tend to be positively charged in the body, such as mercury. That's just an example. So in the lab studies LifeWave did with glutathione, they showed a 300% increase in glutathione levels within 24 to 48 hours, and a huge increase in heavy metals coming out of the urine, which indicates that it's being detoxified out of the body. So it's kind of exciting stuff. So how often would you use these? Well, depending on your goals, I would probably use them, 7 days a week to start, if you are trying to lose weight. Of course, you could always use it less often as well, but it's safe to use them every single day. So the second protocol I want to show you is another triangle. Now, this point down here, as spleen 6 point on the leg, is actually the one in the brochure for the SP6 Complete patches. So notice that the SP6 Complete goes on the left side of the body again. So left side, I'll give you a little bit more hints on how to find this point in a minute. In this case, I've got the glutathione on the right side of the body again. Okay, and to complete the triangle, you have an Eon patch on the middle line, the midline. So in this case, we've got Eon on CV6. You can also put a little lower, CV4. CV4 is a point between the edge of the pubic bone and the belly button, so halfway. CV6 is about two finger widths below the belly button. Either one's fine. But these points in Chinese medicine are what we call the dantian. So that is where the energy storehouse is, in those points in the lower belly. So putting any YH patch there can be really supportive of your energy system. So you see how we've got this nice little triangle. We've got this on your legs and then this on your belly. Now, you can actually even use a triangle by using another patch on the head if you'd like. Now, in this case, I'm just showing you the third eye point. This is a Silent Nights patch on the third eye. You can use this at night. Sometimes for some people, it can also help with brain balancing, but not everyone. You can use YH Eon at night as well. If you have a lot of difficulty sleeping, you might want to use both. You can use them in 2 different locations, of course. But if you use a patch on the center line and a set on the hands or a set on the legs, then you've got, what do you got? A triangle, right? Yeah, so these triangles are very good. So I'm going to review that again. Oops, sorry, I skipped over a slide here. So we've got the appetite. This is the appetite control point in Chinese medicine called spleen 6. Spleen 6 does a lot of different things, but that's one of the things it does is helps with appetite. Also helps with sleep quality. And it also helps with fluid. So if you have some drainage problems or fluid puffiness, this can be really helpful. The spleen 6 point here. And then of course your center line here is the energy support point. So how do you find the spleen 6 point? So the easiest way is to look at your ankle right now, and the inside ankle bone. You see where it sticks out, the inside ankle bone? So at the highest point of where it sticks out, you can put your 5th finger right over top of that, and then 4 finger widths up behind the tibia. Now the tibia comes down a bone here, and then there's like all the soft tendony stuff behind the bone. So the point is actually behind the tibia. So if you kind of poke around there, usually there's an indentation where that spleen 6 point is. So you can try it now and see if you can feel it. Normally on most women, it's a little bit sore, especially around the time of your period. It's a little bit sore. And it usually means it's a good point to patch. Yeah, so see if you can find that. Let me know in the chat. See if you can find that successfully. Spleen 6. It's a really, really great point. I mean, you can use this point with energy patches too, even though it's not in the brochure. You can use the white on the right, tan on the left. So it's a great point to use with the any of the patches. Now, the reason I talk about silent nights is because I remember I talked about how you can, if you're sleeping better, you'll actually be able to release growth hormone, which will help you with lean body mass. It'll help you build muscle. Therefore, the more muscle you have, the more fat you can burn, the higher your metabolism. So, sleeping well is really important for weight loss. If you're not sleeping well, you should consider doing something about it. Um, what's sleeping well? Well, you should not have to get up at night to go pee at all. Zero, nada. You should fall asleep within 10 minutes. Okay, that's ideal. And sleep through the night, have dreams every night, be able to recall your dreams the minute you wake up and not wake up to go pee. If you have to wake up and go pee, you're having some deficiency symptoms already. Your adrenals are a little stressed, your kidneys are a little stressed, your stress handling system is off. So that might be a job for the silent nights at night and eon during the day. So most people do not know what quality sleep is. And please turn your cell phones off. Don't have your wireless, enabled iPads and iPads and stuff in the bedroom. You want to turn your wireless off if you can. Other than if you can't, then you have to use a protective device for that, which I talk about in another webinar. But you can find that stuff on my website. If you look under Karen Can and look under products, there's some other home-based products that I use to help with the electromagnetic frequency radiation at home, including wireless routers and TVs and computers and stuff like that. Now, for all the patches, one of the things you do need to remember is to hydrate well. The patches do not work well if you do not hydrate, and especially true for the pain patches, the LifeWave patches. You probably have to be around 70-80% hydrated in order for those to work well. For the Eon patch, not as much, but it's a good idea, especially if you're detoxifying, to drink lots of water, about half an ounce per pound of body weight, unless you're very, very obese. That is a safe amount. So for, an adult male, that could be, a 70, 80, 75 ounces of water. So that's about three water bottles or a little bit more. I have about 4. So a couple of the things that might be helpful for people that have some adrenal stress. They've been tired for a while, they've had lots of kids, they're running around. Um, you may actually get better results from your weight loss regimen if you add the energy enhancer patches at least 5 days a week. The energy enhancer patches helps your body shift from burning carbohydrates for energy to burning fat for energy. Now, it's not a weight loss patch per se. Some people do lose weight just using it, but what it does is it makes your energy system more efficient. And interestingly, the SP6 does something similar, but not exactly the same as energy enhancers. So I find the SP6 really helps with my blood sugar levels and helps increase energy that way. But the energy enhancers do it a different way. And as we get older, our ability to release energy from fat, our ability goes down. And that's why we actually, could really use some help remembering how to burn fat for energy. Remember when you're 10, you could eat anything you wanted and, you wouldn't gain an ounce? Yeah. That would be very efficient fat burning. And it's not so efficient as we get older, unfortunately. Okay. All right, we've got a lot of people that have, well, no, I'm reading this wrong. Oh, no one's ever used acupuncture yet for weight loss. Oh, okay. Okay, very cool. All right. Actually, I'm going to go back to the other poll, which I think I messed up by accident. So sorry if you have to repeat yourself on this. Have you ever used LifeWave patches for appetite control? So I will ask that question again because I didn't look at the answer. Some other tips as far as using the patches. Now remember the SP6 Complete is electronegative, so you want to use it on the left side of the body. You can use it on the center line, but for the protocols we're showing you today, on the left side. Now the YH patches are all electropositive, so you can actually use any of the YH patches on the right. Now I should have wrote YH on here, sorry, there's a typo. So the YH Eon patch you can actually use instead of the glutathione if you want on the right hand side to match the same point you're using with the SP6. Now what happens when you do that? If you use the Eon patch instead of the glutathione on the right, say addiction point, the SP6 Complete has kind of a hormonal balancing tendency, and so does the Eon patches. We talked about how it helps cortisol and DHEA. So between the two of them, it actually can be very helpful to support the hormones because for some women, their weight's related to some hormone fluctuations. So you can use the Eon if you want as the balancing point on the right side of the body. And you can use glutathione in the center instead of the Eon. Now, the glutathione does not brain balance you when you put it on your head. Unfortunately, only the Eon does. So I'm a bigger fan of using the Eon on the head rather than the glutathione. But you can, of course, use, you could use glutathione, for example, in like this guy over here. I couldn't do it with his tummy open here without clothes on, so I put it on top. So this is a glutathione that he's got here, and an Eon on this side. Now this is a different point from the, because this is a corporate slide, but this is not the addiction point. But I just wanted to show you what it would be like having a triangle this way. So you've got one in the center, SP6 on the left, Eon on the right, glutathione in the center. Now, a lot of times, depending on if you're really into Chinese medicine, Dr. Dennis will say you can actually take advantage of another aspect of Chinese medicine by making the more electropositive patch be the highest point on the body. So in Chinese medicine, the arms are actually an anatomically raised above the body. So not down at the sides, but above like this Y figure. So in this case, the Eon is actually higher anatomically than the glutathione, which would be consistent with that particular Chinese theory. You don't have to remember that, but if you do, cool. So that's why I have the Eon up top here and glutathione at the bottom. Now, if you're doing just the legs, it'd be the opposite. You'd have the Eon in the center of the belly and then the glutathione on the legs. Okay, let's take a look at our poll here. Okay, so nobody has yet used, or at least the folks that are live here have not yet used the patches for appetite control. Okay, well, you're in for a treat, hopefully. Now, just a couple of words about the nutritional support that's available. Most of the countries will have the Core Essentials, which consists of the Eon patch together with the Theta 1 powder and the Theta Activate, which is a liquid formula that helps activate the powder so that your body absorbs it much faster and you get the results within minutes rather than days or months. And in the Core Essentials, in this Theta 1 powder, it's got multiple different nutritional components there, which help support the immune system, but also, in case you didn't know, helps to support lean body mass. Why? Because it actually helps you produce a growth hormone, IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor. It's very similar. And so when you have increased or more normal levels of IGF-1, which is created by taking some of these components in here, then you actually are able to take advantage of when you sleep. You release, the hormones more naturally, and then you're able to increase your lean body mass. So we've had some people and they've done, hundreds of different people that they've surveyed, have found that just even doing core essentials alone has helped them lose some weight, even if they weren't trying to lose weight, because of that growth hormone increase in their bodies when they do it. So, of course, the Core Essentials is a kit that comes with the Eon patch and the Theta 1 and the Activate, but you, as a distributor, you can get them separately as well. So you don't have to get all of them, but you don't use the powder without the activator though, because the activator is the magic. That's the formula that actually makes the nutritionals work right away. So you do have to use these two together. So let me know if you have any questions on the Core Essentials or any questions on how to use the patches. Now, we went over in some more detail with Dr. Dennis some of the reasoning behind some of the patching suggestions that we gave you today. So if you're interested, you can actually listen to that half-hour radio show I did with Dr. Dennis, which we did in January this year. If you go to patchtrainingteam.com/LifeWave Radio, and the show was called Healthy Weight After the Holidays. So if you're looking for the title of that show, you'll be able to hear and review some of the information we did today with a little bit more detail in terms of the whole Chinese medicine philosophy and so on and so forth. So just kind of a summary on, patching to support healthy weight. I highly recommend using the YH Eon daily to support the stress response, because if you're stressed, your body will not burn fat. It will just keep it on. And if you don't think you're stressed, think again. If you have a cell phone, if you own a computer, if even if you ate all organic and lived on a farm, you probably still have stress. So um, I think almost everybody can use the Eon patches for um, anything, because stress is a part of a lot of problems, not just weight. So the energy enhancer patches 5 to 7 days a week. If you happen to be one of those people that have burnt out your adrenals, you're tired all the time, you have to rely on coffee, you wake up tired, you've had a lot of kids, you work long hours or shift work, you're probably not going to lose weight as easily. So I would recommend you add on the energy enhancers 5 to 7 days a week. Now, you don't have to start all of them at once. I usually would start, one or two different ones at a time. If weight loss is your goal, you could start, the protocol 1 or protocol 2 right away, but maybe you want to hold off on the energy enhancers for a week or two until you get used to the first sets of patches. And then the SP6 Complete together with the YH glutathione is a very popular combination. You put the SP6 on the left and the YH glutathione on the right on the matching point. So the points we went through today is the SP6 on the ankle and the addiction point on the top of the wrists. Of course, you can always use the SP6 Complete points in the brochure as well, and match it with the glutathione on the right. You can even use it alone. We find the SP6 Complete works even better when it has a matching patch on the right-hand side of the body, either glutathione or Eon. Remember, you can use Eon on the right side for hormonal balancing, or you can use it on the head like I like to use it. And if you're not sleeping optimally, you can always add in silent nights at night. So these are all, very, very supportive of healthy weight. In addition to whatever else you're doing with proper whole food dieting. It's not really, I don't like to even call it dieting, just nutritional support. So you're eating whole foods, you're not skipping anything. I really like decreasing grains if you are trying to lose weight, because grains kind of turn into sugar, and then it makes your insulin spike up, and that basically tells your body to store fat. So pasta, crackers, cookies, cakes, breads, those are all made with grains. Corn, you definitely want to avoid as much as possible because it's genetically modified unless it's organic. So wheat is a biggie. There's a lot of inflammatory things that happen with grains. So that's one of the great strategies that you can do, is get rid of the grains, sugar and grains in your diet. Some people are also dairy sensitive. So that's I'm very pretty sensitive to grains, can't eat much of it without getting inflamed. So I like to eat the paleo, like the Paleolithic lifestyle. That works for me. I don't miss having, pasta. In fact, I used to starve after eating pasta. Like 20 minutes later, I'd be starving. It's because my insulin would just shoot up and my blood sugar would drop. So for me, steak, Brussels sprouts, and a sweet potato is like the perfect dinner meal. Or, Alaskan salmon and green beans and, bone broth and spinach or something. That's like the perfect meal for me. So if you watched the webinar last week, we put up the replay at karencan.com/fat loss, which you'll see on the chat, that link. And at the bottom of the link, you'll see some easy meal recipes there for you, in case you have no idea what you should be eating for good nutrition. And it's a great way to get started with your weight loss goals. You can roll your own breakfast shake and lunch and dinner. Pick an item from column 1, pick an item or two from column 2, pick an item from column 3, and that's your lunch, or that's your dinner. And if you do it that way, you'll focus more on what you can eat versus what you cannot eat. So, got a question. Can this help with excess stored fat gain in specific parts of the body, like around the knees and the elbows? Yeah, that's a really great question. Now, some people, that's a really odd place to get stored fat. Usually there's some sort of lymphatic drainage issue if you're storing it there, because usually stress fat is stored in the hips and the belly. So if you're having it stored elsewhere, sometimes that's like a problem with the lymphatics. It's just like toxins tended to be stored there for whatever reason in your body. So it may be helpful to try, for example, some of the other acupuncture points that are in the brochure, like for example, the energy patches. There's a point near the knee that you can try. Also the SP6 complete patches. There's actually the same point, stomach 36, which is a point which is near the knee. So that might be a good point for you for the knee. As far as the elbow point, there isn't an acupuncture point on the elbow specific for appetite control, but if you have, um, you can use any of the patches. For example, you can use the glutathione patch right over the elbow, like where the fat is, and just match that point on the left with the spleen 6 patch, the SP6 patch. It's not going to be wrong. It's still going to work. It's just, may not be a point specific to appetite control. But as long as you put the glutathione on the right, the Eon on the right, and the SB6 on the left, it's worth trying to see if it makes a difference for you. Let's see if there's any other questions. Let me know. Now I do have, now this would only actually apply to people that are not on my team, of course, or that are not customers of mine. But what we have at the patchtrainingteam.com is we have a membership site there, and you can find the details at patchtrainingteam.com/access. Now, what that gives you is a full access to the secret parts of the website, which include all the replays of all the webinars that we've done, the training calls we've done over the years. And in fact, the 7 or 8 part series actually of the LifeWave product training webinars, we did that a little earlier last year, where we went through all the different patches, all the products, LifeWave products, how to use them, how to combine patches, all the hints. They were basically an hour class each, about 8 classes in total. Those are all recorded and placed in the members area for you to watch at any time. And so you would get a login and a password to access this place, the secret place. Now, for people that are my customers or that are our distributors, they can get free access to that if they are gold or higher. So gold, platinum, or diamond member can get access to those places, including some of our marketing materials. People that are either customers of ours or bronze or silver can get access to the product training webinars, but not the marketing areas. But if you are not part of the team and you want access to everything, you can. But there is an annual fee of $249 for this week until I think next week. For a week, we're actually having a sale. It's going to be $197. So you'll see a pop up on the right hand side of your screen. You just click I'm interested, and it'll go get you to that part of the website. And notice if you click on, buy now instead of the 249, you'll see that it's 197. It's going to be like that for the next week or so. For those folks that aren't on my team, but still want access to all the recordings and to be invited actually live to some of the team only webinars, then you want to be a member. The other great thing about being a member is that you get access to not just me, but a whole bunch of other patch experts. We actually have a secret Facebook group, and you can't even search for it on Facebook because it's secret. We have a secret Facebook group, and we add you to the group so that if you have a patching question, and sometimes people do have some urgent patching questions, you can post those questions on the Facebook group, and someone will get back to you to help you with patching. We have several acupuncturists, massage therapists, in the group. So somebody asked about, trigger finger the other day, and another person asked about, eye swelling, so we'll give you some hints on what patches to use and what protocols you can use to help. So that's really handy too, having, help right at the tip of your fingertips. If you need some help. So if you're not part of the team, we do welcome you to be part of the annual access membership. And I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. So just click the button, I'm interested, to get more information. Okay, so that's the last slide that I have for today. We have a couple of minutes left. So if you want to ask some questions, it doesn't have to be having to do with weight loss, but it can be any patching question as long as you don't talk about disease names. I'd be happy to answer them right now. Also, some people like to ask about, in addition to, what kind of food should I eat? Like I said, my favorite is to really stick to low grains, low or little grains, especially if you're trying to lose weight. And there's nothing wrong with increasing your vegetables. Oh my gosh. Even my holistic nutritionist was telling me I didn't eat enough vegetables. So I'm trying to eat vegetables at breakfast too. So sometimes I'll have bone broth and I'll put in a couple of cups of okra, frozen okra, or a bunch of spinach as part of my breakfast. In the summer, I could probably get away with doing more raw stuff. So I have a shake off, and we'll put some fruit in the shake, but I've put some raw spinach in the shake as well. I don't do as well with raw greens in the winter, so my stomach can't quite take the cold part of the rawness. So I've been putting avocado. That's like a healthy fat. I've been putting avocado in my shake in the morning. I have a couple of scoops of whey protein, which I could tolerate even though it's dairy. Whey protein that's natural, no flavoring, and then I put some berries and the avocado, and I don't need a lot of sweet flavor personally. I sometimes use some berry powders. I add a tablespoon of berry powders in the shake, and it's really kind of satisfying. It's kind of filling, which is nice. So sometimes I'll eat that with a couple slices of bacon or leftovers or something, or with the soup, with the vegetable in it, like the cooked okra. And then for lunch, what's easiest to me is just putting, some bone broth together and putting 6 ounces of salmon, and again, just putting some vegetables in there. And that's a quick, easy lunch for me to bring in a thermos. And then for dinner, another, 6 ounces of meat of some sort, grass-fed beef, for example, or chicken, or free range chicken, turkey, fish, that kind of thing. And then 2 different kinds of vegetables like Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes. And then if I have to have a dessert, which I often don't, I might make another shake, a smaller shake with some berries in it. And that's my little sweet thing. So I got a question. When you place patches on clothing, you take the backing off, but if you move, it will stick again. Oh, yeah, if you place patches on the clothing, it's going to be stuck for good if you take the, I shouldn't say take for good, but you can take the backings off for sure. But if you want to change locations, the best thing is either use tape on your skin, or you can pretty much decide where you want it to go and take the whole sticker off. For example, if you are really, really sensitive to adhesive, most people are not allergic to the patches, but if you are allergic to the adhesive, you can always stick, for example, if you're using kidney 3 on the inside ankle for energy patches, just stick them on the inside of your sock or even on the outside of your sock. You can stick them on. Doesn't matter which side is facing your body, okay? You just have to remember the white goes on the right, tan goes on the left for energy enhancer patches. But it doesn't matter whether the top is sticking close to your body or whether you stick it on your sock on the outside, because the patches will have at least a 3-inch diameter of a circle, of a sphere of influence. So even if you don't get the acupuncture point perfectly, it is still affecting that point. Actually, it's 6 inches. They've actually measured an effect on the body with patching with a block of wood between you and the skin. The patch is still working because it's energy, but I wouldn't use a block of wood. It, of course, will work better, closer to your body, but clothing is just fine. Um, let's see. So if you leave all the papers on, you can still apply it. It'll still work the same. Yeah, absolutely. So even without the backings off, it still works. So as long as it's close to your body, it'll turn on. So you don't want to put a package of patches in your pocket, okay? Because you're going to start the clock for that 12 hours. Don't carry them around in your pocket. It's best not to carry them around with a cell phone in your purse either, unless you have some sort of metal case where you can protect them, because over time the negative energy of the cell phone may drain your patches and make them less effective. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, there's definitely people that don't use it on their skin, so okay. I don't see any other questions, and we're at the top of the hour. So if you're part of my Facebook group, which some of you are, you can certainly post any questions that you think of after the fact. We will be posting the replay of this for those folks of you that are registered, should get it, automatically, but I'll also post it on the secret Facebook group as well, so you can watch it at any time. And you're certainly, if you have people that are my team members, if you have, customers or, other distributors that have not watched this and you want them to watch it, you can always, send them the secret YouTube link to the presentation. Um, and I just ask everybody to be really respectful of that. If you paid to get on the webinar because you're not part of the team, we prefer you don't spread it around too much, because you bought that value, and other people need to invest as well into their wealth and health and well-being. Awesome. Do you drink water just when applying? You drink water pretty much all day long. So you want to drink your 70 ounces or 65 ounces of water throughout the day, so you keep hydrated, not just when you first apply the patches. So hopefully that's clear. You just want to stay hydrated throughout the day. So most people, that's about 2 liters of water per day. I have several water bottles and I just sip it throughout the day, just to keep hydrated. But that'll just make the patches work better. Okay, great. Well, great questions, guys. Great to have you on the call. And like I said, I will post the replay. We'll post it on our blog actually as well, although that will be it'll be password protected, only for Access members, but we'll post it on the Facebook group as well. So thanks everyone for being on board. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for also watching. And I hope you got something out of it, and took some notes. And until next time. If you play something at night, as long as you drink during the day, you should be fine, Anna and Dunya. All right, good night, everyone.